morning, friends. I had a tough little day yesterday. Just lots of anxiety spirals, lots of overwhelm and overstimulation. And I just had so many ideas and thoughts in my head, and I hadn't given myself time to sit down and journal and process through some of the stuff. Mostly since I've moved, I've been so busy and in a go, go, go mentality for so long, for months now, with the pre-logistics of moving. And then once I got here, everything. And so I finally gave myself space to sit down and journal through some things yesterday. And it really kind of kicked my butt in a way and really said, girl, get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. You know exactly what you need to do. You are already trying to do some of these things, but yet you have convinced yourself that you can't, or that you can't do it without certain things. And so this video, I wanted to focus in on some routines that I wanted to hone in on and refresh. And a lot of them have to do with decentering my phone. And I've done a lot of hard work about not being on my phone a lot. Last year I got off social media, so I've been off Instagram for over a year now. I haven't been on Facebook for years now. I did recently log into Facebook to engage in Facebook Marketplace and found that I can't even do that. I can't even handle Facebook Marketplace. So I know that I'm sure there's some great finds and buy nothing groups and things like that you can engage in on Facebook, but I just know myself, and I know that I can't do it. And then I've never been on TikTok. I specifically, when TikTok started exploding, I told myself I already had enough with Instagram. I know Instagram was you would wait 3 months and you'd get the stuff from TikTok, and I was fine with that. I was fine with getting the leftovers. I was I do not need a whole nother platform to suck my time and energy. So I had never engaged in TikTok. So I have done a lot in terms of not needing my phone for at least doom scrolling and social media and things like that. But I have found that there are still some kind of essential functions that I wanted to remove from my phone. So I really want to lessen the amount of pickups that I have on my phone. By doing that, I wanted to kind of find some ways that I can remove some of those kind of small tasks and make them more pen and paper, more off my phone. And so one of the big things is that I have actually had this tiny, cheap pocket notebook in my bag. I've been carrying it around for 4 or 5 months. And what the original intention was that this was supposed to replace my notes app on my phone. So if I'm ever out and about, I have a pen in my bag, I have this tiny, cheap, I could throw it against the wall and there's no emotional attachment to this tiny little notebook. And I have yet to write anything in it. It's completely blank. It has sat completely blank in my bag for months now. And I am so frustrated with myself because I wanted to just get started. That's all I need to do. And that's when I was reflecting yesterday, is that there's so many things that I want to do, and I just need to get out of my own way and just start. Just start. And I feel like it would just become so much easier if I just take that first step. But I feel like in a lot of new habits and routines, that first step is absolutely one of the hardest steps to take. And I thought just getting the notebook and physically putting it in my bag was the first step. But no, the first step needs to be actually using it. And it's so funny because I know a lot of people feel the same way when it comes to journals or any sort of notebook, that you're afraid of ruining it. Some people intentionally just scribble on the first page just to break the ice with themselves and say hey, it's already kind of broken in. Now it's never going to be 100% perfect. So now I don't have to feel pressure for the rest of the notebook to be perfect. And so I thought, because I got this cheap little notebook, that I wasn't gonna be so worried about breaking it in or just scribbling little brain dump notes in here. But yet I have found myself still struggling with it. So that is one thing this week that I really want to lean into and start using this. Even if I just write my grocery list or something in here instead of in my notes app, I will be proud of myself for at least starting it, and hopefully it will catch on and I can utilize this more. The other thing that I had thought about it about a year ago, and I did it for probably a week or so, and then I felt I had spent money on this thing and therefore I need to continue to use it. And that thing is my Apple Watch. So I have worn an Apple Watch on my wrist for probably the past 5 years or so. And the same one. I've only had one Apple Watch. So I haven't done any upgrades or anything like that. So the Apple Watch that I wear every day, it's been in the pool, it's been in lakes, it's been in rivers, it's been sweat on and rained on and everything like that, and it works perfectly. It's great and excellent condition. And so therefore I convinced myself, okay, I spent money on this thing 5 years ago and it's in excellent condition. It does great things in terms of tracking my health and everything, tracking my workouts, and I need to continue to use it. I convinced myself that there's no way that I could not continue to use it. I sat down with myself yesterday and said, you know what? Why don't you just try again? Why don't you just try again and give yourself a couple days where you don't wear it at all? You don't wear it so that even if you go on a walk, you don't have to track your workout. You can just walk. You can go out and about and not have to constantly check the time or have the weather super accessible to that, or every time you get a text message, your wrist buzzes and now it pulls you out of whatever you're doing. And even if I don't check it, the fact that I know that something happened, it has pulled me out of whatever I'm doing, whether it was a craft or a hobby or watching a show or, again, going on a walk. It's still some way to pull me out of the present moment. And I've had my phone on silent since high school. So it's not that I'm also not hearing the phone dinging across the room. So I think the thing I've convinced myself is that, if the phone's on silent and if someone needs to access me, then I need to have my Apple Watch on because I need to at least vibrate on my wrist so I can know that something happened. But granted, I also have the emergency bypass on for my major contacts in my phone. So if my phone's on do not disturb, if it's on silent, anything like that, if they call me, any of my core people call me, it will ring. Even if I'm in the middle of a doctor's office or something like that, it will ring. So I think I just need to pivot and let my family know and those kind of core people know that if they do need to reach me immediately, that they need to call me. And that if they text me, I may not see it for a while and that I'm trying something new. And so I think as long as I just set that expectation with the people that I love, then things will be fine. And it's very similar to the expectation that I set with them when I got off social media, is that when I remove myself from Instagram, that was the big one last year because, again, I've never been on TikTok and I hadn't been on Facebook for many years. So really it was just Instagram that I had removed myself from last year. And I basically told people, I said, if you have a major event, if you have something you want to share with me, if you have a funny joke that you want to share with me, you're going to have to text it to me. You're going to have to call me. You're going to have to screen capture it in some way and send it to me. And I feel like the intentionality in my relationships has grown because now I'm not reliant, or my friends and my loved ones are not reliant on me just like getting information from them from social media. Like they have to be intentional to stay in touch with me outside of that. So it maybe has lessened the amount of people that I stay in regular contact with, but those people that I do stay in contact with, those relationships are much stronger because I feel like not only am I able to say, oh, hey, you did this, or you went to this event, or you went on this trip, or you ate this for dinner, or whatever it may be, you read this book, I also get to continue the conversation. So I think that's the hardest part with some social media, is it like, oh, you shared this, but I want to talk to you more about it. So it's very similar with one of my friends who's really gotten into a local book club. And so she likes to share with me what book that they've read. And the really cool part is that she told me, I think it was last week, that her book club is reading The Spell Shop. And I was like, oh, The Spell Shop. I was like, you have to read The Enchanted Greenhouse afterward. And the third book is also coming out, I think, this month. I have to look that up. But so I got to talk to her a little bit about that as well. I have seen ways where when I remove my phone from the equation, things get richer. I am more intentional, I'm more present, and I don't know why. There are still some things where I'm like, I absolutely cannot use pen and paper for notes. Like, what if I need to take a note in the middle of nowhere? And I'm like, then maybe you don't need to take a note. Maybe you can try to store it in your brain until you get back to your notebook that's probably in the car. Guys, folks, it's really just about getting out of our own ways and trying to unconvince ourselves that technology is necessary for everything. I think I even made a note about that. It's almost like we've convinced ourselves that we can't do it without technology. Like we have to live this hyper-organized life and track everything, and everything always has to be immediately accessible. All of this to be said is that I really want to take the power back in my own hands and to say, I can do these things myself. I just want to start. And I think that is the hardest part for some of these things. And it's funny to say I just want to start and without recognizing all the things that I just discussed, because I did start. I have started in a lot of ways to lessen my reliance on technology. And so I guess I just need to remind myself that I've done all of these things, and so I can do a couple more. We can do it in steps, and I think that is a big thing with any routine or habit, anything that we want to change about the structure of how we live our lives, is that we do a couple steps at a time. We do one or two things, and we really hone in on those things. And then once we feel comfortable with that, we can move forward with something else. And so, yeah, the whole moral of this probably really long yap session is that the things that I want to focus on this week is that I want to use that little notebook that's in my bag. I want to completely lock myself out of my notes app. And anytime I feel the need to record something or put a little note down. I'm going to force myself to start using that. And so that way I can get in the habit of it. And then the other things that I wanted to lessen my reliance on is for my calendar. And again, I always convinced myself that I needed to have a digital calendar so it would always be accessible, because I am very particular about my calendar. If someone says, hey, you want to do something in 2 weeks? I'm like, let me check my calendar. I'm not going to say yes to anything until I double check my calendar. And so I did some research last night, and I was like, do pocket calendars exist? I'm like, I don't need a planner. Like, my life is not that interesting enough to where I need like a daily planner. I'm like, no, I'm just going to do my things. But if I can just get a tiny little pocket notebook that has the monthly calendar, so I can essentially just pull it off of my phone, put it in this pocket notebook, and it can be like the same size of this already tiny pocket notebook that I carry in my bag, and have it be my calendar. And they do exist. They do exist. And I also want to get a wall calendar, because I am so ashamed to say this, but when I journal, I write the date at the top of the page before I start journaling. And I had already like set my phone in the other room. I had taken my watch off, and I was like, what day is it? And so I had to go to my phone and pull it up to figure out what the date was. Because again, I was so reliant on just being able to like flip my watch over and be like, okay, that's the date, or have my phone. And so I don't have anything in my home that shows me what the current date is. And so I grew up with one, and it was always on the wall. I was always exciting to be able to pick out a new one every year. And I was worried because we're in July now, and I'm like, oh, am I gonna have to buy a whole 2026 calendar just to do it? And thankfully there are some calendars that are kind of like half-year academic calendars that start in August and then still go through December of next year. And so I'll have to still kind of use my digital calendar for the rest of this month until we get to August. But once August hits, I really want to start utilizing that. So that way I want to be aware of my surroundings. I don't want to have all of this reliance to where I suddenly am like, I don't know what day it is. I think it's just going to be really good. I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be small steps. I'm not trying to do anything wild, but I am already building off of some things that I have prioritized over the past couple years, and am just saying, okay, here's the next step. Here's the next step to lessen my overwhelm, to lessen the stimulation, and to make sure that I can kind of go about my life and not feel like every time I need some piece of information, I have to pick up my phone and then therefore get distracted by something else, by whatever is on my phone. So today I am going to run out to Barnes & Noble. I already looked up that they have the couple things that I'm looking for in terms of a pocket calendar as well as a wall calendar that has the one that starts in August. So once they open in a couple hours, I'm gonna pop in there and see what they've got going on, and then get that calendar all set up and just try to see what life is like without my Apple Watch as well. I feel like that's gonna be another like big experiment for the next week or so. So cheers for the what was supposed to be a like more focused discussion and it's still turned into multiple tangents. Just know that that's how I am. I take an idea and I'm like, wait, I got to give you the context. You got to know all of the additional context to know the full picture. I'm a storyteller. That's what I am. I'll tell myself that I'm just a storyteller. So I was also a teacher, so that's probably another factor in that. I just want to make sure everybody has all of the information and everything is explained very well for you. So thanks for catching up with me this morning. I'll see you once we pop into Barnes & Noble. Ma'am, can you please get out of there? Good morning, lovelies. It is a couple days later from when we last spoke because yesterday was a doozy of a day. Lots of emotions, just lots of just not feeling too super well. I feel like now that I'm kind of done with the major parts of the move and allowing myself to rest, I feel like I've been flirting with a sickness the past couple days. It's always like, just don't really feel too well. My throat's kind of like not feeling too great. I'm stuffy. But then I sleep and I usually feel like pretty good the next morning. And then it kind of deteriorates as the day goes on. So it's almost like as long as I just focus on taking care of myself and resting and not doing a whole lot, that hopefully I can just stay with the mild discomfort of a cold instead of like a full blown sickness or anything like that. So I'm trying to take care of that because I'm sure my body is just recognizing that I've been go, 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 go for months now. And now that I'm finally giving myself space to breathe, it's like, you gotta lay down. Please lay down. Yeah, yesterday was just kind of a funky, junky day, and I prioritized just being a little disconnected yesterday. And most of the day was spent playing a new video game. I know in the last one, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing Cult of the Lamb, and I'm so excited about it. I'm definitely, my voice is cracking like I'm going through puberty. It's probably just my throat, so I apologize if it's a little scratchy today. But I am definitely like a mood hobbyist. So it's the same with books and crafts and even goes into video games. So I could be playing 3, 4, 5 different video games at the same time, just based on what I am kind of looking for in terms of whether it's a little bit more chill, a little bit easier, a little bit more challenging. So yesterday I was really still trying to lean into the nostalgia, but wanting to get a little bit deeper into a story that I wasn't super familiar with. And so I started playing Final Fantasy X. So I grew up with Final Fantasy X-2. So there's like a second game that they made with similar characters in the same world. It's just kind of a continuation of the story. And my dad got me the game when I was in elementary school because the cover of it has 3 ladies on the front of it. And so he's like, Lady Power, you're going to play a game that is centered on 3 female protagonists. And I loved the game. I absolutely loved it, adored it. It's the only Final Fantasy game that I had played at that point. I was in elementary school, so not a huge bar to reach. But I loved that game. I've since replayed it multiple times and just love and adore it. But when I replayed Final Fantasy X-2 the last time, I had gotten the HD remaster version, and it comes with the remastered version of Final Fantasy X, which I had never played before. And so I told myself one day I wanted to go back and play Final Fantasy X because a lot of people who played Final Fantasy X did not like X-2, and I adore X-2. I will die on that hill. I love that game, and I love getting to switch the dress spheres and the outfits that the protagonists are wearing. I know it's probably why people don't like it. They're like, "Oh, it's so cheesy." And I'm like, "It's so fun." The feeling that I had yesterday is that I just wanted to lean into still that like comforting nostalgia, because when I go on to the game, it's characters that I'm familiar with because a lot of them are in X-2. And the hilarious part is that some of the characters are actually in Kingdom Hearts 2. So that's another game where I played the second game and didn't play the first game. So there's a lot of like story gaps when I was a kid that I just like jumped into the second game and I was like, I don't know what's going on. let alone like if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts, nothing in the story makes sense anyway. So it's like I wasn't really missing much. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, there is one of the characters that is not in 10-2. So I was already familiar with him, or at least who he was. So I was playing a lot of that yesterday and just vegging on the couch. And it felt so comforting to be a part of a world that I was familiar with because they reused like all the same maps. Most of the character designs and things like that are translated back into 10-2. And so it felt comforting, but also being able to understand, I guess, kind of the lore and the background of what led to 10-2, which is really cool. So, so yeah, that's my video game tangent of what I played mostly yesterday. And I've been really enjoying it. And the other thing that I did yesterday to kind of help with the funky junky mood is I hadn't pulled tarot or oracle cards in a while, just mainly because when I started learning about tarot and starting my tarot practice, probably like 3 or 4 months ago, I really wanted to take it seriously and learn about it and really understand it. And so every time I pulled cards, I would reflect on it. And so I would write entries in a journal. I have a specific separate journal just for tarot. And I just didn't have the mental energy to like write anything yesterday, but I wanted to like verbally process it, what I was like feeling and going through yesterday. And so I just gave myself permission to say, you don't have to document it. You can just use it as a reflection tool today. And let's just pull cards. And so I pulled an oracle card first, and it's an oracle deck that's like is specific about feelings and emotions. And so the card that I pulled was rejection. Pulled some tarot after that to kind of reflect on the things that I want to leave behind, that I want to hold on to, and kind of the energy that I want to help carry me through this transition. And it was really helpful. I love tarot as a tool to reflect, to force me to sit down with my feelings, and not necessarily as a tool to like see into the future or be any sort of like premonition of what is going to happen. It's more of how can I use this tool as a way to like force me to sit with things and really like think through the way that the cards lay on the table. So I really liked that exercise yesterday and enjoyed it, and it really helped me like recenter. And then after I recentered, I took a bath for the first time in this apartment, and it was so lovely. It was probably not the best idea to take a bath in like the middle of the day when it is starting to get warmer here. So I was like a little warm, but I did also join the neck fan club. If you guys probably saw my goofy little clip of me testing out my new neck fan. So I wore that for a little bit after I got out of the bath to just help cool myself down, help regulate it while I was trying to resettle into the temperature of the apartment. And then after that, I had an easy dinner and just kind of relaxed for the rest of the evening and continued reading my book. I didn't grab it, but I think I showed a clip of it a couple days ago. I got a new book from the library recently called A Forgery of Fate. And it's like a fantasy novel that I guess some people claim is similar to a Beauty and the Beast sort of situation. But it's so much more than that. It's so beautifully written. I've never read anything from this author, but I have had one of their other books. I think it's called Six Crimson Cranes, has been on my TBR for years now. And so once I finish this, I do want to kind of go back and see if I like the Six Crimson Cranes book as well. But I'm really enjoying that. And I read a couple more chapters last night before I went to bed and just enjoyed the backdrop of the trees when the sunset is happening, because the sunset happens later here. At least it feels that way than when I was in Florida. And so it could be almost 10 o'clock and you still kind of see a little bit of the sun as you're laying in bed. And yeah, that was my day yesterday. It was just a kind of flow through the day. So that's where I am. When I was at the bookstore the other day, unfortunately, I was not able to find a wall calendar there. They have it listed on the website, the one that I wanted that starts in August of this year and goes through December of next year. And you can even set it up to like pick it up from the store. Like you can purchase it and say it'll be ready in 2 hours to pick up from the store. And when I went in there, I wandered around for so long. And then I eventually went up to the front and I said, I don't see anywhere where you have calendars in here. She's like, oh no, we don't put those out until August. And I was like, well, the website says I could purchase it. It's in stock and I could even pick it up. And she's like, oh, well, we don't have them out yet. So I told myself, okay, I'll wait until August and I'll go back and try to purchase it then. I can't even use it until August anyway, so I might as well just wait. But I was able to find the little pocket monthly calendar that I wanted to carry in my bag from now on, so that way I can get rid of using my Google Calendar on my phone and less time for me to pick that up. So today I really wanted to go into my Google Calendar and fill everything in that's on there into this, so that way I can essentially kind of erase that from my phone. And then I also have this little journal that I got, a little memory book called One Line a Day. I got it. I meant to actually look at this before I started recording, but here we are. So I got it in September of last year. So it's essentially where there's every single day of the year in this book, and you have just like 4 or 5 lines of room to kind of document anything that happened that day or any feelings that you had, and you have it for 5 years. So I started in September of last year, and I wanted to keep up with this as just a way to just check in each day and just reflect on at least one thing, because full blown journaling is just not in the capacity of most days. I really use my like journal when I like really need to work through some big thoughts and big feelings. But this is just something to say like, hey, let's tap into something that we did today, something we enjoyed about the day, something that we want to carry in tomorrow or we want to work on. And so I actually, because I had packed this up in a box for the past month and a half, I've been keeping my 1 line a day notes in my notes app in my phone. And so I also wanted to move everything that I had documented in my notes app back into here so I can start redocumenting back in here instead of doing it on my phone. So those are the two big things that I wanted to do today to pull things off of my phone. And yeah, I'll take you along in that process. And then I'm probably going to wrap this one up after I finish with these things. Just again, I think I just feel like I need to focus on rest this week. And I know it may have not been a super exciting video this week, but I think it's just real life of sometimes we need rest, sometimes we need to focus on those things and prioritize our health. I hope you enjoyed this little pocket of time together, and I also hope that it maybe gets you thinking about maybe 1 or 2 ways to lessen the time or the reliance that you have on the tools that are on your phone, whether it be, again, the calendar that you use, your notes app, whether it be any sort of social media that you're engaging in, or just a general way of kind of prioritizing putting your phone away for pockets of time. So that way you can just focus on the here and now and really enjoy it. Because again, yesterday I really leaned into that. I think my phone battery went from 100 to like 95% because I barely touched it yesterday, which was so refreshing. And yeah, it was a nice day, a nice day. So I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and resting and enjoying the day for what it is. Let me know what you guys are doing to prioritize your digital health, and anything that you're doing or any ideas that you have for me to take next steps in taking care of not being so reliant on our phones and technology. And I will talk to you in the next one. So thank you so much, and ta-ta for now.